Guess who is here on the Boxer and Gerson guest line? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mooch. Hey, Coach. How are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm great. How are you doing?
We're doing fantastic. Good. Packers-Niners. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I coached in that game. I coached Niners and Packers playoff games 4 times, and then other times too during the regular season. But yeah, it's quite a history, isn't it?
Well, how's it different in your words?
How is it different now than then?
Or just in general, the history of these two who play in the playoffs so much. Like how does this? I don't know if you want to call it a rivalry, but it seems so in January. How is this matchup compare to some of the others?
Well, for a while there, it had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks going against each other, Brett Favre and Steve Young, right? So that in itself made it pretty darn compelling. And both teams, both organizations had very good competitive teams. So, and then the Cowboys were in that mix too in that same era. And then, but then since then, they've, found a way to play each other here now and then. And here we go again. This one's a little different in that Niners are the team that's expected to be here, right? I think many of us planned on them being a Super Bowl contender for sure this year in preseason. And then who'd have thunk it with the Green Bay Packers, being that it's, with a new quarterback, Jordan Love, who, by the way, has really taken the bull by the horns over there and has proven to be their new franchise quarterback. And they have the youngest team in the National Football League. That's what's a little different right now. The Packers really weren't expected to be here. But when they went into Dallas and, jumped ahead like 27-0, you start taking notice, like, who are these guys? So it's going to be quite a game.
How much does that unexpectedness give the Packers an emotional edge versus a Niner team that had a chance to watch that game, and they do have the burden of expectation on their shoulders?
Yeah, that's a good question because they might not say it, but I guarantee you that the Niners expected the Cowboys to win that game. It didn't we all? And what was interesting about that game, typically the coin flip, what do teams that win the toss do? You defer, and you're going to get the ball in the third quarter, right? Let's put our defense on the field. That's the norm these days. You defer. Matt LaFleur said, we're winning the toss, take the ball, and yes, they did, and they shoved it down Dallas's throat and put a 75-yard drive together and went ahead 7-0, and he just made a statement early, and they didn't look back.
Steve Mariucci with us on Willard and Dibs. Do you want, in the comparison of these two quarterbacks, I know you said Hall of Fame back in your days on both sides. Now you've got 2 young, up-and-coming guys who have a little something going. How would you compare these 2 guys who we'll see Saturday night? Yeah,
both playing terrifically. I love both of these guys. Here's something interesting, fellas. We all talk about Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant and all that baloney and playing like crazy. All the other quarterbacks in the playoffs remaining are first-round picks, every one of them, okay? And you know who they are, from Jared Goff to Baker Mayfield to C.J. Stroud to Jordan Love to Josh Allen to Patrick Mahomes and Lamar. They're all first-rounders. And then here comes this kid, Brock Purdy, that nobody knew about really until he started kicking butt and taking names last year. And, he's been playing just fantastic. And yes, he's got a veteran team. And yes, he's got weapons galore. But you know what? He's the guy he's the spoon that serves the drink over there. And I know he had a tough day at the office against the Ravens on Christmas. Yeah, he threw 4 picks. So what? You know what? 3 of them were batted. That's not going to happen again if they end up playing the Ravens again. But the other team, the Packers, different story altogether, with Jordan Love having to wait his turn, just like Aaron Rodgers had to wait his turn under Brett Favre. And then, lo and behold, here's their next guy, but he's got the youngest team in the league. These receivers, the general fans, like, who are the Packers receivers? I don't know. Sterling Sharp's still there. I don't know who's there. All these first and second year guys, and then they go draft 2 rookie tight ends, Musgrave from Oregon State and Kraft from South Dakota State, and all these babies are playing, and they're playing really well.
Yeah, Donald Driver, I think they still have two, Coach.
Driver, yeah.
I got to confirm that he's still there. Steve Mariucci
I think John
here.
Hudson maybe, too. I don't know.
Wow.
But I mean,
That's a great throwback.
They have these young guys that are really playing well.
And you're right, Steve, because this past weekend was kind of a who's who when you're watching it and you're not a Packer diehard and you're like, wow, these are guys who I hadn't really heard of. Yeah, Romeo Doubs, but the rest of them were unknown commodities. And yet you look at this Niner defense and there are household names from Bosa to Warner to Mooney Ward in the back. How do you think a rested Niner defense stacks up against these young pups from Green Bay?
They have played against better talent than the Green Bay Packers supporting cast so far this year. I mean, this supporting cast with the Packers, they're getting it done. Jaden Reed is a darn rookie from Michigan State. He's tearing it up. And I mentioned the rookie tight ends, and Christian Watson's kind of hurt. He's got a hammy, and he played well last year as a rookie, had 9 receiving touchdowns in Wicks. And you mentioned Romeo Doubs. These are guys that they're having to coach hard every day. There's not one guy that says, throw me the damn ball. They're all these young kids that are just hoping to contribute in some way. And then you got Jordan Love that's just kind of delivering the ball like, he's got assists everywhere like Steve Nash. I mean, this guy is just he's just amazing. They found their run game. Look out, Aaron Jones can get it done. If the score says we can keep running the ball, they're a good run team too. So I just love the direction they're headed with the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Niners defense, terrific. We all know that. They're great in the front end, and the linebacker core, Fred Warner, is terrific. We know that, in the back end too. And they're just a zone team. They're not gonna give you the big play. They're gonna make you earn it and go 12 plays and hope that you mess it up. Sooner or later, you get a sack or a penalty or a drop pass, and they're very hard to move the ball against.
Mooch, how surprised would you be if the Packers won?
You know what? After that performance last week, I wouldn't be as surprised because I didn't see that coming. Did you guys?
No.
Dallas.
Yeah, no.
I think they beat a better team. I think Dallas. If Dallas played the Packers 5 times, Packers might win one. But you know what? They won the one that counted, right? And so and they played a great football game, both sides of the ball. But I just think this 49er team is rested. The bye is huge. It's just huge for the number 1 seed to get a bye. Remember, we used to have 2 teams get bye, and then a bye is great. It's like a win with no injuries, right? And so they should be at their best in a game like this. I'm talking about the Niners.
Yeah, and getting just about everybody back healthy. And one guy that I think that they need to gear up for is Aaron Jones, 3 touchdowns last weekend. How much does his physical running style give the Packers more than a puncher's chance against a Niner defense?
Yeah, he's a good back. He's a good kid, too. And, they didn't have A.J. Dillon, the other back, more physical back from Boston College. And that was the bad news. The good news for the Packers is they got Aaron Jones the ball more often. And he had 3 rushing touchdowns. And he's just one of those guys that's very, very steady. They use him in the passing game, not as much as Christian McCaffrey, but he's very capable back. And if they don't turn the ball over and give the Niners some short fields, they feel that they can play with these guys.
Steve Mariucci joining us here, 95.7 The Game, Willard and Dibs. Now, Steve, we always tell our audience that we promise them we're going to be very honest with them, so I'm going to ask the same of you here, and don't be afraid if it's not the answer that they want. But this is big now, okay? You've got a history with the Niners. You've got a history with the Packers. You've got a history with the Lions.
I started my career with the Rams.
Okay.
And so 4 of my teams that I coached with all were in the playoffs. It was awesome.
So to which team do you feel most attached?
The Green Bay Packers.
It's an honest
and
answer.
You say, well, why?
Yeah, why, Moose?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I grew up back there, see, and I was a Packer fan, and if we were FaceTiming right now, I would show you a picture of this little mooch kid, 9 years old, getting autographs from Bart Starr and Willie Wood and Herb Adderley and all of them, okay? I grew up a Packer fan freak. I would go to training camp like all those kids. And I still have Packers season tickets. So I never used one of them ever, but my family fights over them, right? So I've been attached to the Packers forever since I came out of the womb. All right. Now I really love the guys over there at the Niners. I love their front office. I love their coaches, and I don't know all their coaches, but I know Kyle pretty darn well. And of course, John, I know a lot of their players. Kittle in this bunch is terrific. You know, they've been so good. We have a Down syndrome football camp. It's called Football Camp for the Stars every year for 18 years now. And we get a lot of Packers. We get a lot of these 49ers come on out and help us out with the kids. And of course, they've been at games on the sidelines and everything. They're just good, genuine, great people off the field. So I've got a certain affinity for these 49ers too. I love them. And then I still know people at the Lions in the front office and ownership, the Ford family, and I know Jared Goff, and that kind of thing. So I try to stay unbiased, really, in my picking games and analyzing games. I really don't favor, like Michael Irvin is a Cowboy freak. Did you ever realize that?
No.
But I'm not. I don't really do that. I try not to favor anybody or friends, or Andy Reid and I with the Chiefs. I mean, we grew up together in coaching, and so I just try to stay unbiased, cover the league equally as well as the next team, and let the chips fall where they may.
It's a great comeback right there, Steve. From a couple touchdowns down, you rallied there with that answer. I was impressed.
When was I down?
When you said that you love the Packers, yeah. If we were on FaceTime, you would have seen all of us cringe here in the studio at your honesty.
I got a lot of 49er stuff up here, too, that I'm looking at in my office. I got a lot of so many great memories. My best days in coaching were with the Niners. I just loved it there and loved the fan base and loved the organization and all of that comes with it.
Yeah. My follow-up is, why aren't we on FaceTime? Give us your cell phone number, Steve. We'll call you back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do it.
Listen, while we're having a light moment, I'm going to take a chance here, Steve, and ask you if this means anything to you. Do you know what I'm talking about when I said, I know. It's a big build-up.
It's a big build-up.
Do you know what I'm talking about when I say Brett Favre and fart juice?
Yeah, he used to fart a lot. He had, yeah, but this is what I learned in television. You answer the question right off the bat,
yes,
and then you explain.
Okay.
You don't beat around the bush like you just did.
Please explain.
Okay. So listen to me. He got in a car accident like 3 weeks before the season started, and they were going to play Alabama in the opening game, and he had like 1.5 feet of his intestine removed, okay, with a surgery. And you know how tough Favre is. He played 321 games in a row or something. Didn't miss, right, because he's so damn tough. Well, he didn't miss that Alabama game either. But that screwed his stomach up for life. And so everybody around him pays the price every now and then, okay?
Well, now
that's not the answer we were expecting.
No, it's not, because now's my turn to explain. This came up. Well, Peter King was on the show earlier.
Okay. The whole week.
Yeah.
And so your name came up. He knew that you were coming on later, and then this story came up.
One of my favorite stories from this rivalry, Mariucci was coaching the 49ers. The Packers came into Candlestick after the game. Favre goes over because Mariucci coached him in Green Bay. He loved Mariucci. He loved his family. And he goes in there, and I hope I'm not going too far afield in telling you this, but after that game, Steve Mariucci's son Favre saw him, and he goes up to him, and he gives them this little vial, and he goes, "Hey, listen, when you go into school on Monday, I want you to sprinkle this on all the girls' seats." And he looked at him and he said, "What do you mean, Brett?" And he said, "Look on the side, look on the label." And the label said fart juice. And he wanted Mariucci's son to go in and just totally stink up his class. So the kid was so excited. Mariucci goes, "Hey, thanks a lot, Brett." But anyway, I hate to say it, I don't remember that much about the game, but I remember the vial of fart juice after the game because that was Brett Favre.
You remember this, Steve?
Yeah, no, he like that. He's the class clown. He was the jokester. He would have those little things if you sit on them and it sounded like a fart, and this and that. But half the time was real because it was him. And then we would have aerosol cans and fans in the meeting rooms because he would get a kick out of that. So anyway, that's Favre. That's part of the rival. And Young against Favre. I've got a photo right here in my room. You want to laugh? How much time do we have? We're over the limit.
As much as you want. As much as you want.
So, in fact, I'm going to show this because we're going to do a little segment on game day morning Saturday, about this rivalry because I coached in it in 4 of these playoff games and I coached for both teams. So the first time I went back to Lambeau with the Niners as the head coach, I am on the field warming up with Steve Young. We're playing catch. I'm an old quarterback and we're playing catch and I'm reliving my childhood. And all of a sudden, from the other side of the field where the Packers were warming up, here comes a ball right past my head. And then I just kept busy. I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, here comes another one. Almost killed me. So I look back, and it's Favre, and he's laughing at me. He goes, Mooch, come on, let's take a picture. Steve, let's take a picture. This is before the game started. And so Vernon Beaver, the photographer that was there for 60 years, he saw all this. I've got it hanging in my office. I'm looking at it, laughing right now because Steve Young and I are going, what is going on? This is before the game started. And Favre wanted to take a picture at half court with us just for the heck of it. Yeah. Never a dull moment, boy, with that guy.
I love it.
It's incredible and never a dull moment in this rivalry. And we have to ask about the catch, too, the Terrell Owens play. Yeah. With, a victory over Green Bay, a rare victory in the playoffs over Green Bay. And obviously you were a big part of that as the head coach of the Niners. What are your memories now, 26 years later, Mooch?
Yeah. It's, what is it, 3rd and 7 or 8, and this is going to be it. We're going to take a shot to the end zone. So we lined up and spread left, 3 jet all go, which is 4 verticals. And Jerry Rice was way in the heck to the left side. I suppose everybody in the dog thought we were throwing it to him. And then we had J.J. Stokes and T.O. and who's the other guy? Was it Ty Streets and going 4 verticals. And T.O. got inside the safety. And Steve Young, do you know Steve Young never went in shotgun in his whole life? Never went in shotgun. Right now the league plays 65% in shotgun. But he didn't like that. Favre didn't go into shotgun until his 8th year. But he stumbles on the way back. To make it exciting for the replay, for the film. And he shoots it over the linebacker inside the safety. Terrell Owens catches it, and the great Joe Starkey, Owens, he caught it. It was wild. It was crazy. John Madden and Pat Sumner. And it was, what a great catch, what a great game. And that was just another chapter in this great rivalry.
What's the first thing you said to him when he got back to the sideline in tears?
Oh, he's crying on my shoulder. I said, "Quit getting your tears on my shirt here." So I had to get him off the field. I had to go out there and drag him off the field a little bit because we were going to kick the extra point. I didn't want a penalty, and the place was going berserk, and he was berserk because he was so emotional. He was crying, and he was like beside himself, and he had to try to get a grip because it was such a huge play. He didn't have a great game that game, if you recall. He had a few drops, and It was tough on him. And Steve Young went right back to him because he believed in him. We all did, and he made the big, tough catch. And the other thing I remember, let's see, who was it? R.C. Owens was in the end zone, standing in the end zone. And when Terrell Owens caught it, R.C. was the first guy out there on the field picking him up. Yeah.
This is incredible stuff. Incredible stuff down memory lane. Steve Mariucci with us, Willard and Dibs. Listen, to bring it back to this one, and so much talk about quarterbacks and your history as a quarterback, I remember talking to you before the season, and we said, boy, people keep talking about how good Purdy looks, but it's a small sample size. And then we all agreed it's like, but the sample size is not that small anymore. Now we've got a full another season, and he's going to fall short, but he almost won the MVP. There are still people out there who think that this is system, who think it's Kyle, who think it's teammates. What is your response to that?
So if you take the other, first of all, I think Brock Purdy has enough sample size to show us that he is a legit franchise quarterback, okay? So all the other stuff, playing on a good team, that's great. Good for you. But you talk to Steve Young or Joe Montana or any of the great players, they had a good supporting cast too, and they played on a good team too. You can't be a good quarterback unless you're on a good team. Yeah, you can lift everybody around you a little bit, but it starts with teammates too, and so I think Brock Purdy, if you put him on some other teams in different systems, he plays pretty darn well. And I love Kyle Shanahan's play calling. Not just the play calling, it's the game planning. It's the design and the scheme of his plays. The Niners receivers and tight ends get more separation than anybody in the league. That's because they have a good play action. They move the quarterback a little bit. They work open. They can separate against man or zone. You had a lot of wide open guys. It's because it's so creative. And so start with that. And Brock Purdy is the guy that can distribute the ball all around to anybody. They share the wealth, that. And I do think if they play the Ravens again, that he's not going to throw 4 picks now. He'll play like Brock Purdy normally plays, and it'll be a much different outcome.
A little fluky on that Christmas game, Coach. Just knowing these coaches know each other so well. You as a head coach, if you're going up against somebody who you coached with all those years, do you change what you do to try to outsmart the other guy, or do you just go with your best and line up and try to beat him with what you do?
A little bit of both. You try to fool him a little bit. You try to give him a something that he hasn't seen from you, I suppose. You try to disguise or bluff at times, but then when it's all said and done, you got to play ball. You got to snap it, and you got to throw and catch and cover and tackle and intercept and all of those things. The fundamentals take over. All the other stuff is for talking heads like us, right? And so you're talking about every year. You're talking about Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan know each other very, very well, personally and professionally, right? And so there's going to be a little bit of, okay, I'm going to fake an audible here, or I'm going to do something different. He thinks it's going to be this, and it's really going to be that, and that kind of stuff goes on somewhat. But and when it's all said and done, you got to play the game.
Mooch, it's awesome to have you. It's awesome to hear your voice. Thanks for the stories. Thanks for the time.
All right, guys. Enjoy the playoffs. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yep, it sure is. There he is, Steve Mariucci, joining us on Willard and Dibs with some stories we thought we might get and some that we didn't.